Mick, what is so special about football?
It's just the best game in the world, isn't it? Can't say much more than that, really.
Roger, what got you into football?
Well, when I was a young boy, we didn't have much money, and football was a game that you could, with just one ball, you could have like 20 boys running around playing football, which we used to do. And of course, in my day, there was very few cars, so we used to play football in the streets because you didn't have to worry about cars coming up and down.
No traffic about, so you could play, as Roger says, you could play in the streets. And
Have you always supported the same team?
Yeah, but when you say I've supported, you mean, I support Tottenham Hotspurs. That's my team I would support. But of course, I played at a much lower level than what Tottenham Hotspurs play.
What does football mean to you in 3 words?
What does it mean to me?
In 3 words.
In 3 words, I would just say, best game ever.
How about you?
it was my life.
Hold on, it was that's 4.
Oh, was it? Sorry.
How did you get involved in Enfield Football Club?
I was invited to join Enfield Football Club by the then manager, Tommy Lawrence, who sent me a telegram.
What about you?
I just came down to train and started working with the players, and eventually I got signed.
What are your highs and lows of your football career?
Winning a game and losing a game.
What
That's all you
about
can.
Well, I was lucky enough to be an amateur international, so I played for England amateurs 40 odd times. So that made me feel good. I could have turned professional, but there wasn't the money in it those days. So I couldn't get the right fee I wanted, so I stayed amateur.
What food do you eat before a match?
Very little. I used to eat 2 or 3 hours at least before I'd ever think of playing, and perhaps just a slice of toast or whatever, a bit of fish, but not much.
What about you, Mick?
I think there's a lot more professionalism in the game now, where they sort of sort out diets for people, but we never had that in our day. So you just eat what you feel's good for you, really.
What football player has really inspired you?
Well, I as a lad played with probably one of the best players that England's produced, I think, in Jimmy Greaves. I played with Jimmy in the Dagenham Schoolboys under 11s, and so he has been an inspiration to me.
Just generally, really, I just fell in love with the game, really, rather than any individual player. I could have said Roger, to be polite. But
Have you always lived in Enfield?
No, I live in Essex.
Oh, what about you?
I live in Edmonton. Yeah, not only around the corner, really. Brimsdown, I live in there.
What has been your most memorable game?
Memorable game, probably winning the Amateur Cup.
The time I kept a clean sheet when I was in goal.
It's coming up a lot, mate, though, isn't
It
it?
is, yeah. I'm glad he told me that, Graham.
What other exercises did you do to keep fit?
Now, I still run. I still run over my local park a couple of times a week.
What about you?
I go up the gym, unfortunately. I can't run now. My knees are shot.
Has your family come to any of your games and were they supportive?
Yes, in years gone by, obviously when you have families, you've got young children, and so perhaps the wife don't come very often, but even then, amateur cup finals and things, they would turn up.
Yeah, my wife and my parents, when I was younger, they used to come and watch.
Can you imagine your life without football?
No.
No.
What did football mean in your life?
It was always been a great hobby, which obviously by playing that sort of game regularly keeps you fit and keeps your weight down a bit. So I've just loved it. Just lucky enough to kept fit over all these years to be able to keep playing.
How would you describe supporters of Enfield Town Football Club?
Very enthusiastic.
What about you?
Well, as I just said when you said, where do you live? I live out in Essex, so I don't get to know too much about the local support at Enfield, even though I played here for over 10 years.
Does football still interest you till this day?
It does interest me, not quite as much as it used to.
Do you still watch football?
I do. I try to go to local games and as much as I can. Probably the commitment's not so great, whereas when you was in it, you had to go. Well, you didn't have to go, but you went because you enjoyed going. You had things to learn and things to appreciate.